From the Hotel Indigo on Technology Drive along the Monongahela River just off campus to the great University of Pittsburgh near the Hot Metal Bridge. Welcome to the award-winning Pat Narduzzi Show. I'm Larry Richard with Panthers. Chris Bickle, 97 head coach. Let's hear it for Coach Pat Narduzzi. We've got a nice crowd here at Hotel Indigo. Coach, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Larry.
Let's go back. I know you guys turned the page on Sunday. Let's talk about a few things Saturday. As a fan, as a broadcaster, man, that one hurt. I mean, that was tough to swallow.
As a coach and as a team, it was a hard one to swallow as well.
I mean, I was 3 feet.
The work these guys put in and the coaches put in, it's like, whoa. We didn't execute at the end in a lot of different ways.
It was just a heartbreaker because it looked like he had this miraculous comeback. Christian Bear, 302 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns. Looked like it was over. You come back down the field, you score the touchdown, and then the heartbreak at the end. So how do you rise up from that and get the guys going for this week?
You put it away. Our guys have been great all week in practice. We've had 2 really good days of practice, and that's what you do. That's what we do as college coaches and college athletes is you got to put it aside. Win or loss, you put it aside. You move on to the next one. We got another top-ranked football team coming. I guess we're headed to South Bend to play, and it's a good football team, and you better be ready to go. And it's going to be a physical game. They're tough, they're athletic, they're big, and they've got a lot of wins under the belt.
Second start for Christian Bear. Overall, I mentioned his stats, but your evaluation of his play.
I think he played really well. I mean, I think every week he's going to get a little bit better, getting all the reps he's getting, and I think he's gotten better every week since really spring ball through camp, and he's ready for where he is right now. That open week really prepared him as he stepped in to be the starter. He's got a confidence about him. He's got confidence in the pocket, and I think he's just going to continue to get better.
I was standing next to that group before they went out on the drive that led to the touchdown late for the Panthers, and I like what I saw. Those guys didn't let down. You came over, and you could see in Christian's eyes something that I think that you guys saw in him in the first place, which is why you wanted him to be a Panther.
No doubt about it. Anytime a quarterback will take it down the field, wish we would have finished the whole thing, but anytime in a 2-minute drill you can take it down the field and score a touchdown. It was a great throw to Bub Means. That was good to see, and it's just going to help us as we continue to grow and as a football team and move through this season.
One of the things Coach Tim Salem said this week was he's been with other teams who've been down, they've gone through disappointments, and the team lets down. He said he did not see that at practice this week with your team.
Yeah, that's kind of our guys. I mean, we really get them back all the time. It's what we do. That's coaching. That's what we have to do. I mean, you got 12 guaranteed opportunities, and they're running out on us, and we got to step up. And I'm excited about Notre Dame this week.
How was practice today?
It was a good practice. It was really good. More energy than we had the day before. I thought we were kind of lacked a little bit of energy, but the execution was there, and the details and discipline was there. But today we had the energy. Mentioned it before practice about getting the energy going more than yesterday, and it was there today. So I was happy.
And we'll head to South Bend. The Fighting Irish and Notre Dame, a great history between these two universities. And coming up next, we're going to be joined by voice of the Panthers in his 50th season doing Pitt football. Bill Hillgrove is going to join us. Let's hear it for Bill. You're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Jeff Hathorn with Pat Bostic, and he was filling in for the voice of the Panthers, Bill Hillgrove. Let's hear it for Bill. 50 years of Pitt Panthers football, 30 years of Steelers football, and soon 55 years for Panthers basketball. Billy, congratulations. This kind of a special year.
Yes, it has been, and those are nice round numbers, 30, 50, 55. And, I'm very blessed to be able to do this sort of thing in my hometown, talking about teams I grew up rooting for. So, it, like I say, is a very welcome privilege. I don't ever take it for granted, and I look for many more. Of course, the guy upstairs has a lot to say about that.
And I want to recognize his wife, Rosette Sapienza, was a trained opera singer, and her mother wrote a great book about immigrating from Italy. There's always a great tie-in, Coach, with your Italian-American background as well. And Bill Hillgrove was just inducted into Pennsylvania Broadcasters Television Hall of Fame. What took him so long?
You're asking the wrong guy. But it was indeed an honor, and we came through at a good time for local television, and I'm talking about Paul Long, Don Cannon, Joe DiNardo, and the Channel 4 sports team, which included Myron Cope, John Steigerwald, Guy Junker at one point, Stan Savran certainly, and yours truly was privileged to be a part of that. We had it going on, and I'll never forget, on a July 4th, DiNardo said, well, what are you going to do between shows? And I said, well, let's go find somebody's home barbecue, and we'll crash it. And we went into Swissvale, and these people said, Hillgrove, DiNardo, come on! And it was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing.
That's how Pittsburgh is. Let's talk about Notre Dame. According to my calculations, you've been there like 32 times between Pitt here and there, covering this great rivalry. I'm going to guess what one of your biggest highlights was to call the game.
Well, 1976, the Panthers' second game of the year, and Keith Jackson opened up the ABC broadcast with a shot of a golf ball in the very heavy turf. And they were calling it the Dorset cut. And the folly of that turned out that, every speed is relative. So if it made him slower, it made the Notre Dame defenders slower. And it didn't matter to him because he racked up a couple of 100 yards, and Pitt won the game on the way to the national championship. The year before, he had 303 yards at Pitt Stadium against Notre Dame, and his 754 at the time were the most yards by a running back against any university Division I, let alone Notre Dame. He was recruited by Notre Dame, and I think it was like a bit of here's why I became a Panther. And I'll never forget, after the 75 game, there was an usher by the name of Soupy Campbell. He was an Irishman from Oakland, and he was so proud of that 303, and he walked down the hill with his head up high, especially for his fellow Oaklanders, some of whom were, Irish, what do they call them? Alumni. Subway alums. Subway alums. So, that was kind of a special time, too.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the times that you've had with all the different players. I had a chance to interview Smokey Robinson once, and I asked him, do you have a favorite song? He's like, oh, Larry, that's an impossible question, but do you have a favorite call that you remember in your career?
Tony's breaking Archie Griffin's record at the Naval Academy. That, to me, was the perfect place. They fired the cannon. They never fire that except for the mids, but in recognition of a great athlete, one of the greatest ever put on the planet. They fired the cannon. His mom and dad got out of the stands and walked around, and the midshipmen, the whole brigade, doffed their caps. And to me, that was an emotional moment, tears streaming down my cheeks, and I turned to my partner, Johnny Sauer, for help, and there were tears streaming down his cheeks. And we were kind of quiet there for a minute, but that was the favorite.
And how about when Louisville was here, the big upset, who was in the stands for homecoming?
Tony Dorsett, sitting with Kenny Pickett. So that's a pretty good support crew for what turned out to be a big upset, and I'm looking for one this Saturday.
Yeah, there's been a lot of renditions over the years, a great rivalry, and I think they look at Pitt as that too. Coach, you have a reputation, you play tough, and I think Coach recognized that. Marcus Freeman, what's the scouting report on their coach?
Mark's a good dude. I've known him for a while. Defensive guy, and he's done a nice job there. I'm looking forward to this. Will be our first meeting, so it'll be interesting. I know a lot of other guys on that staff as well. From Dylan McCullough. I mean, I got a bunch of old players that are coaching on that staff as well, so it should be a fun event.
I have a Notre Dame story for you.
Please.
I was with you for 2 wins at Notre Dame, and it was pretty special. That's a great atmosphere, obviously, in college football. But you were at the Marino's house many occasions, but the day he was drafted, right? Before that, when he was being recruited, Notre Dame came to the house. You know the story, right?
I do.
So I think it was Dan Devine, maybe. And he's sitting there. Dan had left the house. My father-in-law is sitting there, and he says, Mr. Marino, you realize that everybody in America knows who the quarterback is at Notre Dame. He goes, Debbie, calls his daughter out of the kitchen. Who's the quarterback at Notre Dame? She goes, I don't know. Meanwhile, such an honor to work with you, and looking forward to going to South Bend.
I always look forward to my trips there, and I always look forward to getting on the airplane with a win under my arm. So I'm looking forward to Saturday.
Let's get it done.
All right, let's hear it, Bill Hillgrove. And when we come back, Coach's special guest, A.J. Woods. You're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Welcome back, Hotel Indigo. Let's hear it for A.J. Woods, who is fifth-year senior defensive back. A.J., you had a heck of a game Saturday.
Oh, thank you.
As a D-back, normally you don't get, I think it's 3 sacks. We're working on the third, right? But it's 3 tackles for loss.
Yeah.
Coach, that's pretty rare, right?
It is really rare. I mean, they kind of walled off the inside. It was hard to get any pressure through the middle. So we brought in, we won't even say what it's called, but the little corner blitz there, and AJ had some success. He's the best corner blitzer. He comes with a great angle, and he finds the ball. He's like a missile.
I recall a game, Florida State. You guys were down, and then you were part of a big comeback with a big interception. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And you remember that pick at the ACC championship game?
Yeah, I do. A Hall of Famer, had a great call on it. I remember watching it after the game. Obviously, my family was super excited to see that, and I was excited to see it too.
You're from Germantown, Maryland, right?
Yeah.
And what got you to Pitt? What was that process like?
I was generally like a smaller time recruit. I had a lot of Division I AA offers and not too many FBS offers. And I ended up coming to Pitt's camp my junior year and testing really well and competing really well. And Coach Narduzzi called me into his office, and I was able to earn a scholarship that way.
He ran a 4.2, I believe.
That helps.
The fastest time at a camp in 9 years, I think. I don't think anybody's run as fast as he did in that camp.
That helps, and I know, you have plans on trying to take it to the next level and play on Sundays too.
I do. It's a big dream of mine that I've had ever since I was young. Me, my granddad, and my dad used to talk about that all the time, and they had high hopes and, not expectations, but they shared a similar dream to me. Their dream was seeing my dream come true, and that meant the world to me. And it honestly pushed me really hard to, make it to where I am at today with an opportunity like that.
Well, Coach has a knack for his players getting into the NFL. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, I am. Pitt has like a rich history of NFL, first rounders, top draft picks, All-Americans, all that. And the past 5 years that I've been here, especially in the DB room, we have Dane Jackson, Damari Mathis, Damar Hamlin, Jason Pinnock that have all made it to the NFL, and I've gotten to see great examples of what it takes to get there. And I think I'm following in their footsteps really well.
Do you stay in touch with any of the guys?
Yeah, me and Damari are really close. Eric B. Hill. B. Hill is a guy that I came in with, and I was so excited to see his name get called on draft night. I stay in touch with all those guys because they help me in my journey that I'm about to take. I get to call them, ask them a bunch of questions about how their process went, and kind of shape my own path through the knowledge that they were able to gain.
And outside of the guys anybody you emulate or you really like their style in the league?
I've always been a huge fan of Xavier Howard, like the newer age corners in the league. But historically, I've always been a huge fan of Darrelle Revis and Ed Reed. I know there's a bunch of Steelers fans here, but, I grew up in Maryland, and, I used to watch him on TV and go to the Ravens camps, and I got to meet him. And he's just a DB that played with such physicality and speed that I try and be like that.
and you had Darrell at the last home game at homecoming. What was his message to the team?
His message to the team was just to make the most of every opportunity that comes your way. You never know what play is going to come to you and what moment that you're going to be in where the team needs you to make that play. You never know when your number is going to be called. Just be ready for that moment and capitalize on it. That was his big message of when we met him at team dinner. And, you know, he's a guy that throughout his whole career, he was able to capitalize on those big moments, not only here at Pitt, but when he was in the NFL. So it spoke volumes to me just being a corner and seeing one of the greatest to ever do it just right in front of me giving us advice.
Coach, by the way,
impressive.
you ready to announce who's the honorary captain for Saturday's game against the Irish?
Not ready. Not ready yet. Are you?
No, I'm just asking. My job to ask, right, guys? Don't you want to know now? Now you got to wait. They'll tweet it out later. So, AJ, when we come back, I want to talk more about what you want to do post-football and what you do when you distance yourself from athletics and academics. Let's hear it for AJ Wood. More coming up. You're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. And we are back. Let's hear it for Hotel Indigo. They've been very gracious this year, and we appreciate their team treating Panther fans. And we want to give a shout out to the Pitt Football Fan Committee. Let's hear it for the fan committee here, who helps with their input make the game day experience better and better. And always a shout out, Coach, to the Panther Pit.
Oh, they're awesome, aren't they? You know, we got a Notre Dame game, but I think in another week, you know.
Florida State comes to town, and
gonna be
we'll
a big
find
one.
out whether it's going to be a noon or 3:30. And that game will be a big deal, national television, and so will this game against Notre Dame. We're with 50-year senior D-back, cornerback A.J. Wood. So, A.J., you have a degree, communications. You like this stuff.
Yeah, of course. I've spent a lot of time getting close with the people in the video room, Mitch and Greg especially, and they've really helped me shape out what I kind of want to do, my ideas of where I want to go post-football. And all I can say is I have a tremendous amount of respect for you and how you speak with so much passion about football, sports in general, because they bring people closer together. And one day I want to be able to talk on ESPN or, you know, share my opinions about sports because I'm so passionate about that too.
That's awesome. And you're also studying criminal justice.
Yeah.
And then we get you in the league, right?
Right.
Not we. Like, I didn't do anything. I get it. But you have a nice career.
Right.
And then you can go to the broadcast booth or do a show.
Hopefully. I mean, that's the goal. NFL careers don't last forever. And, you know, I always wanted to stick somewhere around sports. I remember coming out of high school and I was thinking about being an athletic trainer just because I wanted to stay close to football in some way, shape, or form. But since I was like in elementary school, I used to do the morning announcements, and I got to talk.
So did I.
Yeah, I got to talk
In high
on-
school. I swear to God.
Yeah.
That's where it started for me.
So yeah, my mom actually called me last week, and she's like, I don't know. I mean, after football, I think you have a good chance to talk on TV. I've always seen you doing that because you did it when you were younger. So I think that's something that I would want to pursue post-football.
Let's ask our fans here. What do you think, AJ? I could see it, right? Plus, he's got the look. I got a face for radio. I get that. You don't need to say that over there. I got you. Meanwhile, what do you guys do? We like to find out what the players like to do when you're not immersed in football and your academics.
I'm really a laid-back guy. I kind of am a homebody. A lot of my life right now revolves around watching tape, getting ready for practice, getting ready for games. But outside of football, I just like to just kind of hang around the house, catch up on TV shows, hang out with my girlfriend.
What TV shows?
What do you watch it?
What do I watch?
Yeah.
I've been watching this new show on HBO, The Last of Us. It's like based on a video game, and it's been pretty good. Me and my girlfriend are enjoying it.
And who do you hang out with, your teammates? Who do you spend the most time with?
The defensive backs, my McKee group chat people, they knew who they are if they're listening.
The McKee.
Give them a shout out. And I would imagine that there's music involved. What do you like? Coach always writes these down because he's going to put them in his Spotify playlist.
My iPod.
Yeah, iPod.
Music-wise, I couldn't tell you a particular song that I like to listen to. Like, especially on game day, I kind of flip between listening to something that gets me amped up. But as of recently, I've really liked listening to gospel music just before games to like kind of like mellow me out, get ready for the game. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I mean, you're the first player I ever heard say that. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. All right, let's talk about the game coming up Saturday just for a minute, because there's a rumor that quarterback Sam Hartman has a circle around your name. Do you know why?
The ACC championship game.
And do you know why?
Longest pick in ACC championship history. Should have scored, but
What was it 73 yards?
yeah, 73 yards.
Man, what was that feeling like in that moment with that crowd in that championship game to do that?
First of all, I want to thank all the Pitt supporters that made it out to that game to cheer us on. But I mean, it was one of the most surreal moments. It's something that you as a kid dream of doing, making a huge play in a huge game in a huge moment like that. High school, I never won a state championship, so being able to make that play for my team in a championship game and help us get that victory and kind of stamping my name to that ACC championship in that way meant everything to me. And it's something that, you know, when I move on from Pittsburgh and, you know, I have kids and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to tell them, guess what your dad was able to do? But I'm going to tell them I scored. So
The video will be out there. That video will be out there.
With Bill Hillgrove's voice on it, calling that. That's awesome. Let's hear it for A.J. Woods. A.J., so good to get to know you better. Good luck against the Irish on Saturday. And you're a credit to this university, your family, and this city.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best.
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity that you guys gave me.
When we come back, Pat Bostic will break down the game against the Irish. You're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Pat, I know you're as close to this program outside of anybody that's coaching or playing. So after the game, you know, it's disappointing, but you got to turn the page and move on.
We're on to Notre Dame.
What are the positive takeaways, though, for you?
First and
Individual
last
play?
drive offensively were great. First and last drive were really good. I thought Christian, there's a lot of plays he's making that are pretty high level. Throws he's making with pressure, deep in cuts he threw on 3rd and long. You know, the upside is really there, and you have 5 more weeks to continue to show it. So that's impressive and a lot to build from there.
In only his second collegiate start, it's been a while since a quarterback for Pitt has thrown for over 300 yards. I think Kenny Pickett was the last one.
No, I
right?
think Keaton did against Georgia Tech last year. But no, he's played good. I mean, it's the little things, though. It's the operation. It's getting out of the huddle. It's getting lined up. It's the things that, you know, it's only going to be exacerbated this week at Notre Dame and a loud, big crowd that you got to focus on that stuff, because the big plays, he can make them. I mean, he can. That when he needs to make a throw, he can make a throw.
Yeah, Coach, we all kind of hold our breath. Seems like it takes a while to get the play going before that play clock is counting down. I know you're watching it, because if it gets to the point where you have to call a timeout.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. You know, I was happy last week we did a lot of no
Right.
huddle, so it wasn't, we were out of the huddle and on the ball. But, you know, when you go to huddle, you know, we got some long wristbands. If you guys ever read some of the calls, and you probably remember back in the
do.
day, there's some long calls that I'm like, you know, you have to read those off. But the good thing is nobody can steal our signals.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of signals still going on right
Now
now
they have
in
to
college
steal.
football.
They'd have to have the wristband and the signal.
So,
which
Yeah, that's a conversation in college football in some places.
Yeah.
well, and then the motions and
lot of
shifts.
places,
That's the one
yeah.
thing about Notre Dame that's fun to watch, is you're actually watching a team that kind of looks like you a little bit when you watch them on offense. They motion, they shift, they want, you know, they're running duo a lot. They want to run the ball, and
They're going to huddle. They're going to huddle.
They're going to
actually
huddle.
gonna be in a huddle.
This is going to feel like 2008 all over again. It's good.
Yeah, Notre Dame, they're coming off a bye week. They had a big win against USC at home. They did lose to Louisville. You beat Louisville, actually, you know, back a few weeks ago, and then Ohio State beat them. Those are the 2 losses. As you evaluate Coach the Fighting Irish at Notre Dame. What are some of the characteristics that have made this team successful?
You know, they obviously got great talent. I mean, they get some of the greatest talent, in this country here, I think. I mean, they get whoever they really want, in my opinion. But, the thing that's been key for them is their turnover ratio. I mean, they were +5 against, you turn the ball over like that, they're +5 against USC. That's how they won that.
-5 against Louisville. They
Right.
lost that game.
-4, but yeah.
5 sacks.
So,
Sam Hartman threw
Yep.
3 picks that game.
Yep.
yeah, so, the turnover ratio has been big. I mean, they probably don't beat USC. USC is a talented team, too. When you look at the guys that are running around on that field, it's different. So the turnovers are going to be big. Christian's got to be smart with the ball, and then we've got to be, opportunistic on defense and get some balls like we did against Louisville.
We had some challenges on those third downs, getting runs up the middle. Obviously, they stuffed the box, so you got to work around that. What do you do to make that happen?
We got to mix it up on third down. You got to take that chance. I mean, you'd hope if you got 2 feet, 3 feet that you could get 3 feet, but sometimes when they're that good up front that you can't. But you got to mix it up and keep them off track.
Pat, let's look at defense from last week. Some of the standouts, obviously A.J. Woods, and we're gonna give him that 3rd sack. 3 tackles for loss. They're debating that, which is incredible for a cornerback. Who are some of the other guys that stood out for the Panthers?
Yeah, I thought, obviously MJ made a huge play. I mean, that was a terrific play in a big moment, and thought it was the capper. But, I think AJ played great. You got some young guys playing in there, some little puppies playing in there. They're not too little. Jordan Bass is a big boy. But running around, watching him play, make plays behind the line of scrimmage. This is a pretty young team. When you look at who's playing out there, and even at safety with P.J. O'Brien's pick, and Javon McIntyre is a first-year starter. There's guys that are really breaking themselves in, and I know it's week 7, so it's or week 8. It's getting up there, but with the injuries, and obviously that presents challenges where young guys have to play right away, and sometimes in circumstances that you're not ready for them to play in. It's good to see those guys. It's only going to help them long term.
And Jordan Bass, for those that don't know, he's a true freshman.
He's a big boy now.
You guys are high on him.
He's big, but he's not big compared to what he should be.
He's
like
long.
Another year, he's long, but he's still light in the butt. I bet he's not 220 pounds.
Yeah, there's some times though when a guy like that, like you saw in high school, flashes. It's just like, whoa. I mean, he's sudden.
He plays fast, and but he's still light in the rear end.
He's 6'4". It says 215, so give or take. But he had 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He was pressed into service. And how did you evaluate the true freshman?
He played really fast. He still played like a freshman. There was some, one of those big runs he could have squeezed it.
When you look at the tape.
Yeah, when you look at the tape. But he played fast, and for a freshman going in and doing what he did a heck of a job. He really did. He's only going to continue to get better. That's what he makes some mistakes. He watches on tape. He'll fix it. That's the good thing. Is he's coachable.
Well, you go out there without Braylon Lovelace, and then Sully gets hurt on the first play literally the first play of the game, the kickoff, and all of a sudden, boom. Everything you work on, from base downs to third down to goal line, short yardage, all that stuff changes. I mean, that's the game within the game that is difficult, and you put guys in situations that aren't optimal for them to succeed. Ultimately, you hope they learn from it.
We wanted to hit him on the first kickoff inside the 20, so we call what we call hang middle. We want to hang the ball up, so we have Ben Sauls hang it up so we can go down and.
It was hung. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was exactly what we want. We hit him at the 19-yard line, but we lose, one of our best linebackers,
in
on
the process.
Very first play of the game. It's like, are you kidding me?
Who played great last week against?
He keeps getting better
against Louisville.
So.
When we come back, Pat Bostic's scouting report on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. You're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. And we're back with Pat Bostic and Coach Pat Narduzzi here at the Indigo Hotel. Time for what you need to know about the Fighting Irish and Notre Dame in this matchup Saturday. Brought to you by PNC Bank. Make today the day. I know Coach waits for this every week, Patrick. So what is your analysis of Notre Dame?
They're big. They look good, when they come out of the huddle. I think they're physical. They've always prided themselves on offensive line play. I don't think that's any different with this team. They're going to run a lot of man scheme and down at you and then stretch you. And Sam Hartman is not as much of a part of the run game as he was at Wake Forest for certain, but he could still move. He can still move. They got a running back playing outside Tyree that they moved to receiver. They got some young freshmen they're playing that have a little bit more speed than I've seen from Notre Dame over the years. But the tight ends are a huge part of what they do. They play with 5 of them sometimes, and you're not really sure who it is. And then defensively, I think they're doing a good job. They play a lot of man coverage. They force you to play under duress. They'll pressure you, and they're going to press you and play man. And that's really what you got to be ready for. And obviously, you got to make throws and make them pay for making you challenge them deep. So they did a great job against USC. I mean, anytime you can hold Caleb Williams to 20 points. The only thing I would say watching that film is it felt like every time you change it over, Notre Dame's starting with the ball on the plus 4 yard line. I mean, the turnover is like, how'd they get to the goal line? Oh, yeah, it was a turnover. Another turnover. They had 2 plays that started inside 2 drives that started inside the 10. So turnovers have helped them win. They've also caused them to lose against Louisville.
Yeah, so a fan looks at that and they say, Coach, you guys beat Louisville.
Transitive property. You're going there.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That's like a senior associate athletic director.
No, it's just something you learn in Pitt.
We can say that because we're fans. So, hey, you beat Louisville. Louisville beat Notre Dame. Why not?
The game plan, it's eerily similar to how Notre Dame lost to Louisville is how Pitt beat Louisville. It's taking advantage of turnovers, being opportunistic, and then going and cashing in on those opportunities. And there's 4 sacks in that game, I think. 5 sacks in that game against Sam Hartman. They forced him to throw it, make him one-dimensional, and there's no secret. It's not something you have to really draw up out of the dust. Stop the run, make them one-dimensional, and then do what you did in the ACC championship game in 2021 again.
Yeah, and I remember some great games with Pitt and Notre Dame over the years. Of course, those don't matter for this game, Coach, so lining up, keeping your guys up after a disappointing loss, and you said you've had a good week in practice. Why not us, right?
No doubt about it. We've been positive all week. Coaches have done a great job getting guys back and getting them ready to go, so it should be interesting.
You've been to Notre Dame before, I know, Pat, when we covered last time we were there, we coached Narduzzi's team.
Yeah, played there too. Played when it was grass. It was grass and the field was crowned like it was like a little mountain. So it's a special place, there's no question. If you love college football, you love going there. And if you play college football, you love playing there. So it's sure fun to leave there winning. And we haven't done a whole hell of a lot of that, so we got to do it this year.
Yeah, and as players, each of these games is an opportunity as a team, as individuals, as a player. I know that, like Christian Bayer and some of these guys, they realize, how close a play here or there throughout this season, it's a whole different ball game. But you got to forget all that for game day.
Yeah, the difference between winning and losing is the details. So I think it's about that. And, as a player, you're foolish if you don't pay attention to the opportunity to go on national television and play a top-ranked team and try to be the best version of yourself that day. And, we saw it against Louisville. We've seen it in years past. It's possible for sure. You just got to. It's not going to be hyping it up, though. You just got to do your thing. You just got to play your game and play it well.
Coach, you got a knack for doing that. When we were in Death Valley against Clemson, they had like some crazy win streak, and nobody in the country gave you a chance. And somehow you're able to get your guys up and believe. And just beating Louisville a couple of weeks ago tells me that they know, hey, we can do this if we just put it all together.
It comes down to the details, as Pat talked about, the execution. The discipline and the consistency. And again, we've lacked the consistency. You go from the first drive to the last drive. Where's that in between? Where's the consistency? We've got to get that. And that happens sometimes when you got a young football team.
And it's tough to get a complete game, with so many changes that you've had in your lineup by necessity.
Yeah, but nobody cares about excuses. We got to get it. We got to find a way to get it done, and that's what we're going to attempt to do Saturday afternoon.
You ready to go, Pat?
Not yet, but I'll be there.
You look very
another
relaxed
day. I'm very relaxed today. Very relaxed. This is great to be here. We got a great crew. We got Panther Club members. We got the Borghetti boys here.
Yeah, we got
Drew and Connor.
That's right. There's Connor,
future sports information director, right there. I love it.
And E.J. Borghetti, whose father played for the great '63 team. They were there at homecoming. That's a great memory, and for you to be at the university with the legacy of your dad, that's what it's all about. Let's hear it for E.J. Borghetti. And believe me, folks, This guy does a great job of keeping us in the media informed. And
You got to ask EJ about his trip to Notre Dame in 2005 or 2004 when Palco's post-game interview and what EJ had to do. He nearly collapsed, a cardiac arrest in the trying to run down to the field to get Tyler, but that was a big win. Tyler threw 5 touchdowns that day, so he could say whatever he wants.
well, you know what? Tyler's going to be in our pregame on the network.
He should be. That was a huge win.
He'll be our special guest.
That's good.
And I'm not going to ask him about that.
Well, there's shirts made about it, so he doesn't have to say anything more.
EJ said he got a lot of calls after that game.
I think he got a call immediately after he said it. He came sprinting down there.
But in today's day and age, with what people put out there now, it's
You got no chance.
right. They have it in songs.
Well, you might as well just say it.
Right. So, let's hear it for Pat Bostic. See Pat Bostic. We'll be on the air at 1:30. Our pregame on the network. Bill Hillgrove will be calling the play-by-play. Also, Doran Dickerson. We got Cale Berger with us, and we look forward to covering this football team on the road against Notre Dame. We'll be back. Some final thoughts with Coach Narduzzi, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Narduzzi, Coach, getting ready for a trip to Notre Dame. National television audience, a chance for your team to shine. How do you put it all together?
Well, we got to go out and be disciplined. We've got to go out and really just take care of the execution part of it. It's a good football team, but we played really good football teams in the past, and we got a chance to win the game on Saturday. It's going to be in our kids' hands and our coaches' hands to put them in position to make plays, and then we got to make plays. We got to stop the run. I can guarantee you that. And then we got to make plays on offense.
When you talk about there are things you always want to clean up as a coach, what did you work on this week?
What did we not work on? Let me think. What we did not work on. We worked on everything. I mean, you every week it's the same thing, but you're always into fundamentals, and then you're working on a game plan. I mean, there's different stuff that goes in every week. People don't realize how many different things have to go in for a certain opponent that's doing certain front coverage. As opposed to just, all the different personnel groupings. I mean, they run so many different personnel groups. You can't just focus on fundamentals all week. You've got to get into the game plan, make sure defensively you're fitting all the runs out of all the different personnel groupings. As Bostic talked about, they'll go from 4 wideouts to 4 tight ends. They'll put 4 tight ends on the field at the same time. So it's like, you guys have to adjust and be sound versus everything that they give to you.
What about their coach, Marcus Freeman? What's the scouting report on his mentality, what he likes to do?
I think he's a good head football coach. He was a great player at Ohio State, and we'll find out what that game plan is.
Coach Pat Narduzzi, let's hear it, Coach, and good luck against the Irish.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it. Hail to Pitt.
And we want to thank our executive producer, PJ Comanchic, Amanda Siley King, producing here at Hotel Indigo, and the staff thank them. Also, Charlie Borges back at Master Control for his contributions, Paul Bardo and his team from the university, Greg Daniels, and a special thanks to Executive Associate Athletic Director of Media Relations. Let's hear it for E.J. Borghetti. He's got 2 of his 3 sons here, Connor and Drew, right? I get that right? Good. We're on the air at 1:30 with our pregame Saturday kickoff at 3:30. You've been listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.